Hey folks, how you doing? This is Kurt. Let me turn this down a little bit. There we go. Welcome, Friday. Happy Friday. Let me take these off. Got a glare coming from the other monitor over here. I wanted to go live today and just kind of talk. The title is called The Power of Collective Intelligence. But we've got something that's come up. And so we've been scheduling these lives that we do Thursday mornings, 10 o'clock Central, different themes along the way. A couple of them really hit home with some folks. One was the week that we did on tech products. The one on tech products got a fair amount of comments, fair amount of feedback, and it seemed pretty actively engaged. The other one was how to lead without being toxic. And that was just the talk from yesterday. So we've been kind of playing with this idea of like, okay, yes, Mañana No Mas is a business consultation digital agency thing. So we act kind of like solution engineers. We do a needs assessment. We come up with a solution based on that needs assessment. In a lot of cases, that solution includes a web product. And of course, we are a web agency as well. So we can furnish the solution that is engineered. So that comes up a lot. And because of that kind of work, because of the way that we interact with companies, the way that we address problems, needs assessments, and come up with avenues for success, there's also this connection. And it kind of comes with this idea of John Maxwell certified, in leadership, speaking, training, coaching. And there's this drive to keep wanting to add value in different ways. And that's evident in the book. Like we put out a book 2 years ago, Action Leadership from the Edge. Action Leadership from the Edge. It's got its own website. It's called the Action Leadership team.com. So if you go to actionleadershipteam.com, when you sign into that, right away, there's going to be a pop-up. It's going to say, hey, get our digital planner and journal for free, right? Those are the kinds of things, right? Because it's like action. You want to plan your action. You want to have a strategy. You want to have a way to journal those results. And so that's a very solid product that we offer right there. And then, of course, you can get the book. And there are sister courses that go with the book. So when you're reading the book, it'll refer you to the site and you take, course 1, course 2, course 3. So that all said, I needed to find out, like, where would I put, let's say if I wanted to host a meeting of professionals, a mastermind. Some people would call it like an office hours, right? But let's stick with the mastermind idea. If we focus on leadership, leading without being toxic, growing our business, most of the time we want to focus on business. What does that look like? And so I started doing some thought, some thinking about it. And it's basically, the power of collective intelligence. Sometimes we are so far buried in the middle of it that we can't see clearly. And it happens to me sometimes. Sometimes I'll get up and I'll sit in front of the computer and I'll just go blank. And I have to think, what am I going to do? What am I going to do right now? And, I've got this client, this deadline, this thing I want to do. And all kind of jumbles up. And then I have to take a moment, break out my Remarkable 2, get into the planner and the journal and kind of list it out. What are the things that I want to do? What's important? What's a need? What's a want? What's important time-wise? What has to happen now? What can happen later? And I kind of stroke that out, and then I can jump into being productive pretty readily. And so I started thinking about how we do that. How has Mañana No Mas grown? How has Mañana No Mas gotten more notoriety in the WordPress field? How has Mañana No Mas gotten more notoriety in our community, interacting within our community? We've only lived here for a year and a half. We know at least 100 business owners. How have we done that? And I started thinking, if I put that energy and that thought into a mastermind and we invite some people in to participate, what does that look like? What is the power of collective intelligence? Well, the first thing that we want to think about is it's going to allow it's going to allow for differences. It's going to allow for diverse perspectives, different ideas, and for things to kind of come into the group. Lots of times when we are consulting with a company, like I said, they'll be so deep in the mess that they haven't been able to pick up their head and see clearly. And sometimes when you're in with a group of peers, you can look at something and you can go, you know what, here's a different perspective. Here's a different idea. And sometimes it's just what you need, right? And that's how we enhance our problem solving abilities and can accelerate a little bit of our learning. No matter how far up the chain you get, there's always some kind of learning. Like I think about what I'm doing right now with I'm growing in my expertise in using Bricks from a full scale development perspective. So Bricks is a tool in WordPress. It's a page builder, helps you build websites. It's a little more advanced of a tool than what I've used in the past. And I had to ask myself, do I want to be a professional and really do this thing? Or do I want to keep plunking along with the tools I've been using? Now, the clients have been happy with the websites because the websites look good. They perform well. They do their thing. But have they been the best they could have been? Could we have improved the product? Could Bricks be this glue that makes the product better at Mañana No Mas? And I believe it could be. So I've been doing a lot of self-development, a lot of learning on Bricks and different tools in Bricks that make it better for me, that make it easier for me to grow and expand my intelligence in. And if we think about that, if there was a mastermind, that would help that would help accelerate the learning and bring that stuff together, right? And then I think one of the biggest things that a mastermind does is you're problem solving, you get different perspectives, you grow in your capacity to learn more quickly. But then if all that's happening, it's all hitting on 8 cylinders, there's going to be a sense of accountability. You've got a group of people working with you to problem solve your issue, to grow your company. There's a sense of accountability that, like, yeah, I don't want to let these people down. I got to execute on what we've discussed. And of course, as you execute, there's support, right? There's like, hey, good for you, way to go. I've been a member of different masterminds, and I've seen not jealousy, not competitiveness in this way. I've seen like genuinely being happy that someone else is finding success. And that's what I think a healthy mastermind can bring to the table. So I'm thinking, if I develop these masterminds, where am I going to put them? That's one. Where am I going to put them? Where am I going to host them? And then what would be the agenda? What would be the goals of these masterminds? And I started thinking about it. And if the synergy is there and there's good collaboration, I could put these in Mañana No Mas. I could put these in kurtvanonen.com. I could put these in Action Leadership Team. I've done some research, and based on the content that each of these properties has and their focus, I'm leaning towards adding a mastermind sign up to actionleadershipteam.com. A couple of reasons. If we're going to grow our businesses, if we're going to lead in growing our businesses, if we're going to grow a team, well, quite honestly, the central message of Action Leadership Team falls right into that. The whole message of Action Leadership from the Edge, originally, when we published this book 2 years ago, was I believe everybody's called to a position of leadership, and we need to encourage people to embrace that role. And so there's a difference between managing and leading. And I feel like the mastermind might just be the inspiration, the impetus for some people to embrace it and go for it. So I think, based on the interest from the lives we've been doing from our Mañana No Mas project, again, that's every Thursday at 10 o'clock a.m. Central. So based on the interest and the feedback we're getting from that, I'm thinking there's going to be enough interest and motivation to jump into this mastermind idea. So we're going to put a link on the actionleadershipteam.com website this week, right? It's Friday today. So we might get it up today, might be Monday or Tuesday. And then we're going to put out a couple of promotional emails and maybe a couple of social posts. And I'll probably promote it in the Mañana No Mas email that goes out Monday. And then we'll talk about it in the next live that we do that's scheduled, which would be next Thursday at 10. A lot going on. Do I really want to run a mastermind? that comes as an obvious question. Do I really want to run a mastermind? I think there's a lot of responsibility there, but I think if the people come together and they participate and they hold themselves accountable to each other, I think that there is a great opportunity there for growth, personal development, and it sounds corny. I'm just going to say it. The idea of growth and accountability without internal culture and harmony inside your work area doesn't make any sense to me. So a lot of times I'll see business organizations or leadership organizations talk about growth as the goal, like speaking monetarily or production wise. But if the internal culture and communication doesn't gel, then it's a negative. It's a net negative because it doesn't have staying power. It doesn't have the oomph to move forward, which is why I feel that the message that's in Action Leadership from the Edge and what would be this mastermind is so important. Because yeah, we're going to talk about growth and accountability, but we're also going to talk about communication and providing the appropriate amount of safety and expectations combined in the workplace. And they'll be closed, right? These aren't going to be masterminds that are going to be lives and broadcasts. They're going to be closed meetings where people that choose to be members are going to be able to share ideas in real time, real space, and without the panic of being misunderstood or misrepresented elsewhere. So I'm leaning towards doing this. I think we're going to give this a shot, see if people have any interest in it, and then we'll move forward from there. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.